Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins in 1939. A man named Stan Carlisle hides a body on the floor of an ancient cottage, in the middle of nowhere, setting it all on fire. He walks around the countryside for some time, till he stumbles across a carnival, and decides to check it out. There are other freak shows to choose from, but Stan is particularly interested in two: Molly, the lovely lady who can electrocute herself, and the other character is the geek, a madman who eats a live chicken in public. The carnival's owners, Bruno and Clem, offer Stan a job, which he accepts. He begins traveling with them, doing various chores, such as selling stuff, assisting with tent setup and breakdown, and capturing the geek whenever he escapes his cage. Stan slaps him in self-defense the first time, but then he begins to feel sorry for the geek, and one night, he even shares a cigarette with him. One day, the carnival comes to a halt at the home of Zena and Pete, a couple who used to work as mentalists. They perform at the carnival with their performance, which involves using coded language and cold reading, to deceive their audience. Their coded language is all written down in a small book, and cold reading is just learning how to interpret a person's body language, dress style, and educational level, among other things. Since Pete is an alcoholic, Zena and Stan keep busy behind his back anytime he is distracted. Stan persuades the pair to teach him their techniques, so he practices with them or hangs out with Molly in his spare time. He comes up with an idea to improve her performance, which she adores, and the two of them become extremely close. Bruno, who has felt responsible for Molly since her father's death, gives Stan the shovel talk in order to protect her. Stan swears not to injure her, and later asks Molly to accompany him, so they can have their own act in the city. They almost kiss, but Molly dashes to her cart without responding. At night, the geek suffers a severe concussion. Because his fever won't go away, Clem asks Stan to accompany him to town, and they abandon the geek at a homeless shelter after a little drive. Clem tells how he normally gets his geeks at dinner. He finds needy junkies in alleys, and manipulates them with nice words. After their practice, Pete begs Stan to buy him a bottle of sugar cane from Clem's cash, and Stan agrees. He tries to go through Pete's code book when he falls asleep, but Pete wakes up and takes it away. He adds that the book can be abused, and the guy begins to believe he genuinely possesses the power, which drives him to harm others. Zena discovers Pete's body the next morning. Many days later, the authorities arrive to shut down the carnival for illegal practices. When the deputies arrive at Molly's house, to arrest her for indecency, Stan immediately cuts in and activates the electricity, while pushing the deputies back, professing to have saved their life. Then he starts pretending he's in contact with the sheriff's deceased mother, who begs his son to be merciful to these miserable laborers. The sheriff falls for it and decides to leave with his men, successfully saving the carnival. Molly is so taken by Stan's rapid thinking that she agrees to run away with him. Bruno catches them and starts beating up Stan. Soon after, Molly reveals she's never gone all the way with a man. Fortunately, she intervenes, explaining she adores Stan, and will be leaving with him. Stan bids his final farewell to Zena, who permits him to retain Pete's book, because he has earned it. 2 years later, Stan and Molly have developed a highly popular psychic performance, among Buffalo's wealthy elite, in which a blindfolded Stan guesses people's assets, based on Molly's verbal signals. Unfortunately, Stan can't stop thinking about that day in the ancient cabin. He is still unhappy, since the guy he buried that day was his father. A beautiful woman named Lilith tries to make Stan guess what's inside her bag, one night during a show, without letting Molly talk to him, since she knows they're using a verbal code. Stan just uses cold reading to guess there's a gun inside her bag, and humiliates Lilith in front of everyone, reminding her she has no power. Then he turns to Judge Kimball, and pretends to communicate with his deceased son. When they return to the dressing room after the show, Molly chastises Stan for giving the man a spook, when Pete had advised him that spook shows were always a bad idea. She persuades him to give Kimball the truth and provide closure, since Kimball wants to meet them properly before they depart. When the meeting eventually takes place, and Kimball offers substantial money if Stan visits his house, for a private session with his wife, Stan betrays his pledge to Molly, and accepts the position. Lilith also comes by and leaves Stan a card, introducing herself as a psychologist. Stan pays Lilith a visit the next day at her office, where she has tapes of every therapy session she has with her clients, including Kimball. He admits to using gimmicks for his act, and describes how he does it, which interests Lilith, because his cold reading incorporates psychological elements. So when he requests information on Kimball's personal life, she promises to be Stan's therapist, in exchange for information. After she tells him everything about Kimball's dead kid, she starts asking questions of her own, calling Stan out for his fear of drinking, and getting him to realize he may have killed Pete, who Stan considered as a better father figure than his true alcoholic violent father. Meanwhile, Stan and Molly's relationship deteriorates, and whenever Molly contacts Bruno to check on her old friends, she admits she misses them, and bursts into tears. Some carnival workers pay them a visit, and over dinner, Xena reads Stan's destiny with her tarot cards, warning him of impending danger if he performs the ghost show. After a few days, Stan goes against Molly's wishes, and performs the ghost show for the Kimballs, which is a huge success, thanks to Lilith's information. Stan assures Kimball's wife that her son is confident they will reconcile someday. After the show, Stan pays Lilith a visit, and offers her half of the money. She declines, but agrees to store everything in her safe, so Molly doesn't see it. He also informs her that Kimball is so impressed with him that he wants him to do a private presentation for a friend, which she vows to investigate during her next appointment with Kimball. Later, she phones Stan to tell him what she's discovered. This buddy Kimball wants to meet Stan was Lilith's patient for only a short time. He's unpredictable, dangerous and powerful. Stan still wants to make the program, so she tells him what little she knows. When the time comes for this new show, Stan arrives at a pretty opulent facility, and is greeted by bodyguard Anderson, who pats him down, before allowing him to meet Kimball's friend Grindel. Stan is strangely not escorted to an office or a room. Grindel is an extremely private person, who rarely goes out in public, so before he tells Stan anything, he makes him sit on a lie detector in the middle of a corridor. Stan begins answering the questions, but he is frightened of being discovered, so he interrupts the interrogation, claiming he is being contacted by the soul of a deceased woman named Durya, who Grindel forced to have a miscarriage. Because the machine produces varied results, the staff remain doubtful of Stan's talents, but Grindel is confident Stan is the real deal, because he couldn't have foreseen that. Stan goes to see Lilith after the show, to tell her about his achievement. Grindel wants more shows in the future, but Lilith refuses to divulge any more details. This guy is dangerous, and she's the only one who knew about the miscarriage, so if Stan reveals anything, she'll be in jail as well. He puts an imprint of her keys on his notepad, while she is in the restroom, but she isn't done with him yet. She returns to the workplace, and shows him a scar on her stomach, reminding him of the perils of dealing with strong people. He disregards the warning and kisses her scar, signaling the start of their affair. After work, he returns to the office with a copy of the key he created, and listens to Lilith's recordings, to learn more about Grindel. He also bribes a health department employee, to gain access to the possessions discovered on Durya's body after she died, including a photograph of Durya that resembles Molly. The next session with Grindel is similarly a success, as a result of all this new information, but things become awkward when Grindel requests that Durya's ghost appear before him. Stan tries to avoid the request, claiming he must be more pure of heart to see her, but he forces some extra cash into Stan's hands to make it happen. Stan takes the money to Lilith's safe, where she eventually gets him to start drinking. The next day, Stan tries to persuade Molly to play Durya, but she rejects the notion. Anderson arrives to pick up Stan, but also to issue a warning. He loves his boss and owes him a lot, so he threatens him not to do anything strange or hurtful. He takes Stan to meet Grindel, who is enraged when Stan uses the same old messaging trick. Stan must make Durya appear, or Grindel will make him regret it. Meanwhile, Kimball's wife can't forget Stan's words from her son, who said they would rejoin eventually. She pulls out a revolver and ends everything for both her husband and herself, so they can be with their son again. Back to Stan, he persuades Molly to play Durya, so they can finish things quickly. While Stan prepares everything, Molly consults the pictures of Durya in Stan's book, to perfect her look, but she's surprised to discover he's also been sketching Lilith. Molly decides to leave, now that she is aware of the affair, leaving a letter for him. He rushes to the station to apprehend her, frightening her with his strong remarks and the stink of alcohol. She first refuses to assist, but he persuades her to reconsider, saying she'll be allowed to go permanently if she helps him survive this performance. When night falls, the pair prepares everything at Durya's garden grinder. Stan begins the seance after sending Anderson inside, with the pretext of privacy, and Grindel confesses all his misdeeds, saying he's injured many women over the years, as if this will help him find Durya again. Molly comes at the end of the garden at this point, disguised as Durya, and coated in fake blood. Unfortunately, Stan's plan is thwarted when Grindel refuses to wait behind to pray. Instead, Grindel rushes to Molly and hugs her, before discovering she is not Durya. Grindel, enraged, strikes Molly and shouts for Anderson, who is inside listening to the radio, and learning of the Kimball's deaths. Stan silences Grindel by striking him, till he's dead, then escapes to the car with Molly, as Anderson emerges and begins shooting at them. It doesn't take him long to catch up, but as soon as he approaches, Stan smashes him twice with his car, before driving away. The car is driven to an alley, where Stan begins shattering the windows, to make it appear stolen. Molly is scared by this man she doesn't know, and hits him and leaves him. Stan then goes to see Lilith, in order to get his money back and depart the city. She prepares the bag with the cash for him, and after a lot of booze, he attempts to go, but she convinces him to stay, kissing him and stating she loves him. When she turns on the recorder for his final session, Stan becomes suspicious, so he drops the money on the floor, and learns it's all singles. He is shocked by the treachery, but she remains calm, calling him delusional, and pointing out that he can't prove anything about her involvement in his concerts. She is extremely disgusted in Stan for being yet another money-obsessed man, and shoots him, proving she is indeed powerful. He climbs on her and tries to kill her, while she's on the phone with security. The gunshot just grazed his skull. He flees the building as he hears the guards approaching, and hurries to the train station, to hide inside a carriage behind a row of chicken cages. As the train departs with Stan on board, he recalls his father, and that terrible day in the cabin. It turns out, he told his father he loathed him, before opening the window on a snowy day, and letting him die of cold. He proceeds to walk around like a hobo, occasionally joining other groups of vagrants, to share their fire. One night, he reads an ad in the newspaper, promoting Xena's new show, exchanging his father's watch for beer. He decides to hunt for work at the nearest carnival, but the supervisor dismisses his medalist feats as being too old-fashioned. He does however have another position for him and offers a drink. Stan chuckles and accepts the work as a geek, saying he was born for it, and breaks down laughing. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.